And we're live. Anybody out there? You still there, Tailed? Shaggy? Am I by myself on this thing? Hey, doctor. Somebody showed up. Excuse me. We'll just wait on hopefully a few more show up. Hey, Yoda, what's going on? People are starting to show. Just a little bit of a heads up in the morning. My 4 grandkids are in the next room, supposedly cleaning up the room. So you may hear them yelling, you may hear adults yelling at them, and you might hear a lot of banging while they're supposedly cleaning up toys. So if you hear that, I'm sorry. Not much I can do about it. Too much to do in too little time. Boy, I know that feeling all too well. Walk across the room here. Turn the light on. Oh, yeah, supposedly, in quotation marks. That's the big if. I love my grandkids. And their ages, the 4 that live here with me are ages 9, 7, 6, and 4. Yeah. And I love them to death, but they are a wild bunch. They're not the most well behaved kids. I'll be the first to admit it. Well, you know how before you're a parent, people tell you, well, you just don't understand. You'll understand when you're a parent, and you found out that was true. Well, same thing goes when you're a grandparent. It's even something different. Yeah, it's just something you can't explain. You have to experience. So it'll it'll be uh, it'll be an experience for you. Just congratulations, Yoda, 200 subs. I'm amazed I didn't fall to 200 during my absence, which I hope to explain some here. But I thought I'd wait for just a few more to show up if they do. Yeah, my kids got kind of started early, Dr. Phobos. My youngest daughter, who just left, was one of the reasons I was a little bit late starting. Uh, Started at 16. And yeah, they got, and one of my grandkids is not really blood related. She's my son-in-law's daughter from another relationship, but we claim her as one of ours. So that relationship came with a ready-made grandchild. She's the oldest at 13, I think. So I have grandkids as old as your kids, Yoda. But yeah, I hope you got plenty of time. My oldest is 33, and my youngest who just left is 26. So you're not too far behind me. Not too far behind me at all. Boy, I sure missed me being here and doing this kind of thing, live streams and content. Hope to get back on the content here very, very soon. Probably going to take another week or two before I'm up to this, at least the same speed I was before. 3 or 4 videos a week. But we'll get there. It just took a while for mostly my old body to get used to being Mr. Mom again. Because since the worthless son-in-law left for greener pastures, I've been doing his job and watching kids, getting them off to school, getting them off the bus when they get home, cooking them meals, cleaning the house, all the things he should have been doing. But well, good luck. The more we have out here getting the word out, the better. Yeah, I know how you feel about not while he's in Korea. My youngest grandchild, who's getting ready to turn 2 pretty soon, I've never laid eyes on other than pictures and videos. She was born in Hawaii, and she's still there. Hopefully to come home very, very soon. Um, Next month, we hope. I'll get into that a little more here shortly. I hope. Um, but yeah, I can't wait to see her. She's got 2 siblings that used to live with me before they went to Hawaii, but uh, yeah, never actually had any physical contact with her yet, so she doesn't know who Pablo is, other than some silly man on the other side of the phone making faces at her on a video. Well, I'm going to go ahead and people will show up, and I guess they'll just have to rewatch the beginning of this if they want to know what's been going on. As most anybody that follows me, any subscribers know, I've been kind of lax and then completely MIA the last few weeks, mostly due to the fact, well, funny thing about the internet, you got to pay the bill. And we just ran out of money for a little bit. And kind of hard to put out YouTube videos to keep up with it when you don't have internet in the house. But we're back up and going, and hopefully that won't happen again anytime soon. But there's a lot of things working in my life at the moment. Probably not least of all my health. I'm not the healthiest guy. I have a disease that's called peripheral arterial disease, which is very painful. And why I really do walk with a cane, just like my avatar. Uh, which I'm excited. On my new animations, if anybody's seen them, Martius, if you know him, made me a new cane. I just got to get it imported into the game for my animations. But everybody's aware of the situation with me and my wife. She came to me right after New Year's, wanted a divorce. Now, things have been quiet about that. Haven't heard a word in a few weeks, and I'm still here. So who knows what's going on with that? And I'm not pushing the issue at the moment. Just trying to get through everything. And then my son-in-law, my oldest daughter, her husband, and their 4 kids live with us. And he decided that, which he always does. He's one of those guys that is always chasing some kind of stupid dream. Things are always greener in the other in the other pasture. He's run them all over the country for this opportunity or that great opportunity, or it's going to make him rich, and none of it's ever panned out. They went to Texas, for instance, before they came here this last time, and everything was supposed to be, there's supposed to be this big opportunity and this big high paying job that he got there. Yeah, he got there and ended up working at Taco Bell. You know the kind of guy I'm talking about. Anyway, he decided pastures are greener elsewhere, took off and left his wife and kids here. So I've been having to play Mr. Mom. And at almost 60 years old, and been a long time since I've had to care for little kids for an entire day by myself, because my wife comes home and she works nights, so she has to get some sleep during the day. So I've been getting kids off to school, getting them off the bus, and getting them dressed, and breaking up arguments, and cleaning rooms, and doing all the cooking, and the washing dishes because our dishwasher broke. And so we're doing it the old-fashioned way, and all of those things. And it just wore me out. So by the time their bedtime rolled around, I was passing out across the bed in my clothes. Hey, Marty, glad you showed up. So I just didn't have anything left. I pass out about 9 or 10 o'clock, wake up about 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. I have a couple hours to myself before I have to get kids up for school and do it all over again. So uh, that's been a big part of it, and it's just taken a while for my old body to get you back used to that kind of thing. And the last thing, and this one's the one that's kind of embarrassing because of my upbringing. I was raised very old fashioned, and there are certain things that you thought just came with being dirty, like head lice, which, hey, failure, which I come to find out later has nothing to do with being dirty. Having kids and grandkids that's come home with cases of head lice from time to time that they've caught at school. Uh, none of us have been sleeping or resting very well because we have an infestation of bed bugs. And if anybody's ever dealt with bed bugs, they have an idea of what I'm talking about. I wouldn't wish them on my worst enemy. I really wouldn't. Uh, we've tried every over the counter and it's not working. We've checked into getting it sprayed. Everybody wants over $1,000. And they have to do it 3 times. And we just can't afford it. We don't have that kind of money. And to make matters worse, the school keeps calling CPS on us because the kids are going with bites. But yet at the same time, they're trying to get us help because it's not just us. The entire neighborhood is having an infestation. It's an outbreak in our entire neighborhood. It's probably how we got it. We don't know. Bad thing is they were already entrenched before we realized what we had, what was going on. We didn't know what was going on. And by the time we realized it, they were everywhere. Uh, it's so the school's supposedly trying to help us. CPS is trying to get us some help. At one time, they were going to pay for it, but since we don't own the property, they can't help us. And I'm afraid to tell the landlord because he's old fashioned like I am. And I don't want him to think it's our fault and kick us out in the street. We got to have a place to live. So it's kind of a catch-22 there. But that's just one more thing that we've been dealing with. And consequently, none of us are sleeping. Uh, it makes me ashamed to admit that, but it's not our fault. We have no idea where they come from. They just were. And according to the CPS lady, she even has rich folks that are infested with them. Our entire city's just under siege at the moment. So that's just another one of the things going on. And it's not been any one thing. It's just all added up. And it's just kept me away from what I like to do because I love doing this. I love doing my content. It's the first time in my life I've had a job, quote unquote, that I've enjoyed, really enjoyed doing. Um, but there's just not been enough of me to go around lately. But my body's getting more used to it. I'm getting more used to the situation, and uh, be getting into it. Uh, yeah, I live in a small house, a 2 bedroom house, but we've tried that Yoda, and things get better for a day or two, um, but they come right back. The only way to get rid of them, and I've done an awful lot of research on them, you'd be amazed at the stuff that's out there on them, is to have it professionally done, and even that's not a guarantee. And they have to come and do it 3 times, and all 3 times. No, it's not serious, Bear. It's not serious at all. Um, I'm just talking about some of the things that's kept me away. Um, uh, and How you doing, son? Be glad you're not here because I was just explaining to him one of the things going on that none of us are resting for is because we have an infestation of bed bugs. As bad as I really hate to admit it, but they have to do it in 3 steps. You have to bag up all your clothes before you can put them back on. They all got to go through at least a dryer. You have to box this up and that up, and all 3 times. It's going to be a mess once they finally get started. But honestly, I look forward to the day I can go to my bed and sleep and not have things biting me all over the place. And my poor grandkids, they just, my 7-year-old granddaughter and I seem to get the worst of it. It's like they like certain people more than they do others. And boy, they sure like me and her. I am just ate up. But the good thing is they don't seem to bother the dog. Uh, they don't bother the dog at all. They will bite the dog, but I've looked it up, and to put it this way, they'll walk over 100 dogs to get to one uh, human being. Bloodwing is that. Well, I don't know about that, but the bed bugs sure like me. And I'm telling you another thing about them. Them things stink to high heaven when you kill one. Oh, Lord have mercy. I yeah, masturbation. Not exactly something on my mind lately when there's a chance of bugs crawling everywhere. But anyway, enough of that. So that's an update of what's been going on with me and why it's been uh, uh, tough for me to be out. Yeah, it's all across the nation, and they're even hitting places. You don't know how often I've thought about that. Actually, it's that bad. I would not wish these things on. I wouldn't wish them on Michael Rowlands. That's how much that I've had cockroaches in years past. I'd much rather have those things than these bed bugs. They are miserable, absolutely miserable. And they've even reached Arizona, which the warmer desert climes are a place they usually stay away from. But they're even infesting those areas. But yeah, it's right here by my side, actually. My cane is. Haven't had to use it today, but I always keep it handy. Uh, But enough about. I feel like I'm whining, and I sure hate whiners. I'm one of the. I hate a whiner. You know, suck it up, Buttercup is my motto. But so since a few of you showed up, anybody want to come in and we'll. Because I need some catching up. I need some people to catch me up on what the heck's going on while I've been gone. Bear, you want to come in here? Anybody? Just speak up. Declared war on you. Ah, I got you. Yeah, smoke another one, you old fool. I got you, Bear. That's fine. That's cool. That's cool. You have a voice for print. Marty or Yoda, you two still out there? Either one of you want to come in? And was that a yes from you, Carlos? A new Gamergate has started. War on free speech. Been railing against flat tards. What's a flat tard? Ah, in your tinfoil tent. Oh, flat earthers. Yeah. Yeah, they're a special breed. You too, Bear. Be careful, man. I'm sure I'll run across you here sometime. Well, while I'm waiting to see if anyone wants to come in, what did everybody think of the little animation I put in my last video? You like it? You think it's something I ought to use, or? I mean, it's gonna take me a little more time to do videos by doing that, but not that much more as you might like, as you might think, rather. Um, it's actually a video game is what it's from, but it's what it's designed to do is to make small movies. Now it's limited in what it can do. Like I wanted to make Big Red, other characters like Suit Yourself does sometimes, but I can't make that color red hair. You only have the limited color. There's limitations to what you can do, uh, but I think I can make good use of it. Uh, and it might help keep me from. I always get afraid of a copyright strike because this image is copyright. I'll keep it as my chat icon because of recognition, but uh, the gaming company has went out of business, and that's what it was designed for. They allow people to do whatever they want with it within reason, and use it in that manner. So it's safe for me to use. But it's not as. It will take a little bit longer, just a little bit, um, but not so much that it makes it inhibitive or prohibitive to use. Yeah, uh, it's the way that it's set up. It's a movie about making movies. You run a movie studio, and as long as you have a scene, you can do that scene, and the scenes only last so long, though. So as long-winded as I am, I'd have to use several scenes in a row, which means there might be jump cuts between each one unless I get creative and just change camera angles. But I just, the first thing I'm going to do is take my intro, the one with me and Melvin about taking over the neighborhood. I'm going to transpose that into the animation and stick that at the front of it and see what goes from there. Give me just a second here. If I am a little slow, I'm going to tweet this out just to remind people. And done. Oh, okay, Yoda. Take it easy. Be careful. I certainly understand. So, looks like I might have to find some ways to fill up the quietness other than talking about my troubles. Uh, I sure got man, I got behind. Trying to catch up on what's been going on lately with this, like Pop and Ollie. Got to get caught up on that. The whole Milo and PewDiePie thing, I'm not real sure what's going on there. I've got to get caught up on that. Just basically, I always prided myself on staying up to date on everything, so that I could put out the best content that I possibly could, that I'm capable of. So gonna have to get caught up on those things. But I'm sure I'll do it, although it's a daunting task. If you had any idea how many videos I am behind over the last little while that I was away. Uh, I mean, ugh, uh, I get about 20 videos a day that pop up in my feed. And that's how many people, I'm just, I'm sub to so many content creators. No way I'm going to catch up on all of them. I just don't have enough time in each and every day. But I'm going to do my best to at least browse them and pick out the ones that might catch me up on some of the things that's going on. Yeah, special needs. That's one way to put it. That is certainly one way to put it. And a lot of special needs people out there. I did watch one of Bering's latest videos about Christy. If Christy Winters and that bunch ever, I don't know why they pick on Bering so much. I think it's because they just don't have any real content of their own to put out anymore. So they've latched onto Bering, and that's their ticket as far as I'm concerned. And if they ever do accomplish getting rid of Bering, which they won't, but if they ever did, then I think they'd be killing the golden goose, because it's about the only thing that keeps them relevant anymore, I think, if you can even call it that. Let's see. What got to fill the dead air. You all don't want to hear me breathe and swallow coffee, I'm sure. Um, let's see, what else have I seen out there I need to get caught up on. I heard through the grapevine that our little buddy Markov is back. Yeah, he is, because of his style. I love Bering. I do. He's one of the first people I sub to in this area of the internet. I love his humor. But yeah, he does make himself an easy target for them because of his style and the way he goes at people, uh, which is almost amazing when you see him in a live stream. He's so kind and respectful, even to people he doesn't agree with, unless it's one of Christy Winter's bunch, and I think he's just about uh, had his fill of those. But yeah, I heard Markov is back. Hope he keeps clear of my channel. I'm done with that Yahoo. And I'll get back to the MGTOW thing sooner or later when I want to, but I don't want it to be all about him. Yeah, it is like beating a dead horse. They, like I said, if they ever accomplish what they say they want to accomplish and getting rid of Bering, they'll be killing their golden goose. It's it's the only thing just about that keeps anybody at all even talking about them, is what's the latest thing they've said about Bering or whatever. There's other things that come out once in a while, but that seems to be the majority of it anyway. Uh, I'm actually surprised a few of them haven't discovered my channel, especially since I called out Michael Rowlands right after I got my channel started. Called him out pretty hard, found some things out about him, but I'm sure he didn't want known. But well, this might be a short one because I'm running out of things to talk about. I might get some guests in there to help me fill the air and to bounce off of and fill me in. But everybody's got things to do, which is understandable. But we'll give it a little while longer. Did no one teach them not to poke the bear? Yeah, they really shouldn't poke the bear. That's for sure. Well, we can give it a shot, Doctor, if you'd like to. Do I got you on Twitter? And if I do, don't take offense to that. I just have a really poor memory. Okay, well, let's see. See if we can get this. If we can do it this way. And it says that the invite was sent. So we'll see what happens. I've actually never tried to send it email before. And if you, it'll come from my email that's on my channel, gland1960 at gmail.com. So that's it. If you see it, don't want you to see some odd email. I don't know what that is. Yeah, I stayed away from Twitter for a long, long time. And I basically only got into it to help promote my YouTube channel, which it has been helpful to do. But I've also introduced to some people that I might not have met before. I'm still not a huge fan of Twitter, but it does keep me in touch with a few people that I do like and enjoy. So it has its uses, it has its purposes. Not something I want to spend all day on, that's for sure. And I don't have it on my phone, so on purpose. Let's see what else. Oh, I haven't. I've got a Facebook account only to keep up with pictures of my grandkids. Other than that, I'm not on it. I've had it for a while, and uh, shoot, last time I was on it was probably a month ago when someone was pretending to be my dad on there with a fake account and trying to get that shut down. It's probably the last time I've been on. I'm not on it hardly at all. It is an echo chamber. And, as much as we don't want to admit it, we all live in echo chambers to some extent. We surround ourselves with people that we like to talk to, that we enjoy talking to. And to that extent, it always becomes an echo chamber, no matter what media that we use. But the thing is, hopefully, in that echo chamber, we're able to listen to dissent and varying opinions. And yeah, I do too, and especially my dad, Wizard. If you don't know, my dad uh, has a very high functioning form of dementia. He's elderly, obviously. If I'm nearly 60, he's going to be up there. Uh, and yeah, I thought it in pretty poor taste to try to impersonate them. They were caught when they tried to hit up my son, who started asking them questions that if they were my dad, they should know. And yeah, they obviously weren't. But I guess that's the thing. It happens all the time. Uh, just previous to that, someone was impersonating a friend of ours that whose Facebook account was still alive, but she wasn't. She died a few months back, and they were trying to impersonate her. So yeah, it's a bad thing. But yeah, whether we like to admit it or not, we all end up making echo chambers for ourselves because we surround ourselves with friends, people of like minds. But the trick is to still be accepting of dissenting opinions, of differing opinions, and to be able to have debates, not arguments. And I think that's why we point out the fact that the SJW group uh, live in an echo chamber more than we do ourselves, is because they can't bear any other opinion. No invite yet? Well, I sent it. Let me try again. Well, send it again. So maybe it'll work this time. Yeah, because there's always going to be people that don't agree with you. I mean, my son, who's 33 years old, it doesn't take a person half a second to realize that he's just a younger version of me. I mean, we look identical and we think a lot alike, but there are things we disagree on. We don't even agree on everything, but we're able to have those disagreements and still get along. 12 pounds air tech support. But yeah, I don't know, doctor. I've never sent the invite that way. Always sent it Twitter or on minds.com. So if it doesn't get through, I don't know what to do. Yeah, so many people can't. So many people cannot take a differing opinion without feeling it's personal. You know, if you don't like their idea, then it must be personal with you. Um, the thing about feminism I don't get is demonizing men and expecting them to toe line. Yeah, you're on Minds. Do I have you on Minds? If so, I can send it across that way. Is it Dr. Phobos on Minds, or if you have me subbed on Minds, which my name's the same as it is here, Bloodwing, just send me a message and I'll give you the link. Send me a private message. All right, give me a second. I'll try to keep talking while I'm figuring this out. Ah, there we are. That's the one thing about Lines I don't like, to use the private message. You've got to unlock it with your password. It's just, I think it's a pain in the hind end. But yeah, now I think we're cooking with gas. And there you go. Hopefully that does the trick for you. Well, I can't say that I have an aversion to sex, Wizard, but I know that the idea that men always want sex is not necessarily true. Uh, but yeah, I'm with you. There's no reason why you can't just talk to somebody without an ulterior motive. Um, Growing up through high school, at least half, if not more, of my friends were females. They weren't girlfriends; they were just friends that were girls. And even some of them couldn't believe that I didn't want, I didn't have something else in mind. But I'd be like, "Oh, you're my friend." It'd be like kissing my sister. But yeah, men aren't the animals driven by instinct that we're sometimes painted to be by extreme feminism. Exactly, regardless of who they are. Yeah, mine's probably not too good at the moment either, Doctor. Hey, Atlas, good to see you. What's going on? Does she keep them in her purse? Almost had your channel striked. Well, that's not good. You'd have to ask her wife. Oh, what were they trying to strike the channel for, Atlas? You got to remember, I'm way out of the loop. I haven't been around for a bit. Okay. All right. Copyright material was you were just using it fair use. His name and his image. Yeah, yeah, that sounds like a Lacey Green. Sorry, that yeah, that doesn't cut it. The only channel I can think of, Wizard, that I might actually flag would be that queer kid stuff because I just feel it's that dangerous. But yeah, for the most part, I agree with you. If it's a feminist channel or even one of these MGTOW channels or something other that I've done videos on and I don't agree with it, well, I just don't agree with it. I'm not going to flag it. You know, I might leave a comment telling them how stupid they are. I might give it a thumbs down. And none of that harms you. In fact, the comment helps you. Christie's like a big teddy bear with a robust feminist argument.
Greetings and salutations.
Well, hey, you made it in.
I made it.
Yeah. I don't know why the email didn't ever come through. Like I said, I'd never tried to send the invite that way. I usually just done the Twitter thing.
Yeah, I can kind of understand that. This is the first time I've tried Google Hangouts, so I had to try and install and I hated Firefox, and oh god, I hated tech support.
Oh, the very first time I went into a live stream, which was one of Based Mamas, it took me over an hour to get in because it done me the same way. I used Firefox or did all the time, and it didn't like it, and it wanted me to download everything, and then tell me it didn't like it, and it ended up having to break out Google and using it, and yeah, it's persnickety.
Oh yeah, and I thought Packard Bell was painful.
Oh my gosh, that's a name I haven't heard in a long time.
Yeah, I used to be tech support for Packard Bell for a while.
Mm-hmm.
I was on what we call THX, was the technical help experts.
Right.
And but we called ourselves Dark Techs, which is where the 12-pound sledgehammer of tech support comes in.
One of my, matter of fact, my first internet capable computer was a Packard Bell. and let me think, 244 or something like God. It's been so long ago. I know it had a 14.4 modem. That's how long ago it was.
Oh man.
But
My first modem was a 14.4 modem, but I was living in the dormitories in the University of Utah at the time, and um, actually could only connect through anything if you ramped it down. No, wait a minute, it wasn't 14.4. My first modem was a 2400 baud modem.
wow.
Yeah, I'm an old nerd. What can I say?
Well, me too. Hewlett Packard. No, this was Packard Bell before it was Hewlett Packard. Old stuff.
Actually, Hewlett
And,
Packard and Packard Bell are two separate companies.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
I always thought they were connected.
Nope.
And yeah, I'd heard Atlas. I'd heard about Markov being back. I just hope he stays to himself. It leaves me alone because you know how much he doesn't like me. But yeah, I've been around the. That wasn't my first computer. That was just my first internet capable computer. I mean, I go all the way back to the old Tandy TRS-80
Oh yeah.
was my first one.
My first one was a Texas Instruments TI-99 4A. 16 glorious kilobytes.
Yeah. My TRS didn't have a hard drive, had a tape drive. It was the actual cassette tape you plugged into it, and that was your drive.
Yeah, I had one of those. A friend of mine had a VIC 20 with a floppy disk drive. We did a little test. My tape drive was faster than his disk drive.
Wow. I still remember some of that. I had to learn, what did they call it? I pronounce it TRS DOS.
Oh yeah.
I had to learn it to use the darn thing. I still remember some of it. But no, that old Packard Bell was probably the computer I learned the most. I'm pretty knowledgeable on computers. I can take one down and put it together blindfolded.
Oh yeah.
But it's probably the one I learned the most on because I messed up the most. I had it like a week, and I was picking around. I'm like a kid with a sore, can't leave the scab alone. And I'm picking around in here, figuring out what this file is and that file is. And the next thing I know, all these file names are flashing by on a blue screen, and it's deleting it all. I called tech support like, help! What do I do? It won't stop.
Do you remember what year this was?
Oh, 93, 4, 5, somewhere in that.
You could have possibly have talked to me because I was working there at the time. Packard Bell's gone.
Yeah.
But yeah, which isn't a bad thing. Oh my God, what a oh.
I had, yeah, that was the one and only Packard Bell I ever owned.
I've heard of stories where somebody bought a Packard Bell laptop and put it on the back of their car, forgot about it, drove, ran over it, booted it up perfectly, after that. So it's like we had the theory is that if it works right out of the box, it'll work forever.
Yeah.
If it doesn't, take it back.
I jumped up from there to a Gateway, which at the time was the computer to have.
Yeah.
Which was like a world of difference. And yes, I remember Windows 3.0.
Oh, yeah.
I had an Atlas. I had a 286 that ran it off of a floppy, and eventually upgraded to 3.1.
Yeah.
But
yeah. Oh, memories like the sewage of the mind.
Yeah, I'm running Windows 10 now. Carlos says when I didn't know they even had 11 yet. Hadn't heard. It popped on my computer, and one day I had a notice, hey, we'll give you Windows 10 upgrade free. Here you go. And I sure like it better than 8, but I don't know. Maybe I'm just a creature of habit. My favorite Windows was, and boy, my brain I just had a fart.
I wonder what that smell was.
The one that came after 98.
XP.
XP. That was my favorite.
Yeah.
Still love it.
The
I'd
one I
run it
hate
now if it was still supported.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think that was probably I think that's the most stable Windows they've ever had. Windows ME was an abortion.
Yeah, my wife had a computer with ME on it. I wasn't impressed with it. I was less impressed with 8. Hated 8. It's the worst Windows ever. It obviously was designed for mobile devices, not computers.
Yeah.
And one of the first things I looked for when I upgraded was to 10 was, did they give me my start button back? And yes, they did. But yeah, wasn't crazy about it. 95 was okay, a little glitchy. 98 was better. XP was just as solid as a rock as far as my experience with it, and I used it for years. But we're probably going to bore everybody with our tech talk here.
So
you're going to start a channel, I hear. Is it going to be like an anti-SJW channel, or what are you going to do? What's the content?
Pretty much whatever I want to freaking talk about. I'm already planning on videos like stuff like how both the right and the left aren't listening to each other and not necessarily saying anything of substance. So that, society is breaking down on the left and right side, and which is going to screw up everybody in the middle. Talk about flat earthers, geocentrists. Yeah, there's people who still believe that the sun goes around the earth. Particularly
and the hollow moon.
Oh my God. And the hollow earth. Oh God. It's like, what, 6,000 years of human development with something that happened to somebody else. It's
I've thought about taking on the flat earthers from time to time, but my science end of it is seriously lacking. I'd have to do some research to back up because I don't believe in just listen and believe. I want to be able to prove what I'm saying.
Oh, definitely. I think that's because I have a science background. I don't know if I've ever told you, but I'm a former Air Force weather specialist.
Oh yeah,
which is probably why chemtrails piss me off. It's like, no, there's no such thing as chemtrails. They're contrails, you moron.
Yeah, it's just vapor.
Oh God. Anyway, so it's like I'm into the science, physics, chemistry. I'm not an expert as, say, some like Neil deGrasse Tyson or some of these other people, but at least understand the science. And I've had experience of teaching science to children. I worked at a local planetarium here, and we would do science demonstrations, stuff on physics, chemistry, all kinds of stuff. And so had to be able to teach it to kids anywhere from kindergarten on up. So, I at least have some understanding on how to present it. Whether or not somebody will understand it, that's another question. So
I do well enough with science. I'm no scientist by any stretch of the imagination. Closer to historian. That's my thing, is history. But I do well enough. I mean, I understand the concepts of it and all of that. It's just to be able to, like you say, to explain it to someone and to make my case, to make my point, I'd have to do a whole lot of research before I tackled one of them. I mean, it's pretty easy to look at the flat earthers and say, geez, you're idiots just off your own. Think so.
Oh yeah. And definitely, I think it's something that people have to explore, have to research for themselves. And I think that's really neat thing about science is that it's something that people can discover for themselves, which is why I think, the whole idea of giving kids laptops is ludicrous. Give them telescopes and microscopes and let them play.
Right. Exactly. I just, matter of fact, just this Christmas bought my 9-year-old grandson both a microscope set and a telescope. So The microscope he's had out. The telescope we've been waiting for warmer weather.
Oh, yeah, I can completely understand that. Uh-oh. Furries are coming up.
So I see. I usually keep a eye on the chat pretty well.
Yeah. I'm not a furry myself. I mean, I kind of understand it. I mean, for heaven's sakes, who wouldn't want to be a chipmunk and run up some supermodel's leg? Did I say that out loud? No, I think with free, I don't care. I understand the fun of it. I enjoy anthropomorphics. It's like animals in human form. Grew up watching, like the Disney's Robin Hood, that sort of thing. I think probably my favorite part is an old comic book called Albedo Anthropomorphics, which is a sci-fi comic book from, I think, like the late 80s. I think you can still find some of it. It's not any of the sex stuff or anything like it. It's good. Right. It's good hard science fiction. Oops, wait a minute, hard. It's good science fiction with space battles, tactics, good character development. So that stuff I enjoy. The whole sex as I don't dig that.
Yeah,
I'm not into that.
Yeah, if it's a comic book in that era, that's when I was really heavily collecting comic books. I'm surprised I don't remember running across it. But way back in the early days of the internet and so forth, with HTML chat sites and whatnot, I role played a furry or two. Not the sex stuff like you said, but that's about as far as it went.
Yeah, and I'm a gamer. I'm an old school gamer. I mean, I'll play some computer games, but role playing games, tabletop stuff like that. Grew up playing Dungeons and Dragons and BattleTech and.
Yeah, my son and I we play those as often as we can. He hasn't been able to come over for quite a while, but we play tabletops like Mice and Mystics.
Oh yeah.
There's which I really enjoy. There's a zombie apocalypse one that I can never remember the name of. Something Winter. We've played several of them like that. We like to do. I've never played D&D or any of that kind of ilk, not the pen and paper type thing, but
yeah, I started out playing first edition AD&D back in the early 80s, and then I've been playing ever since. I've written a few things, nothing big marketable. I got my name in a few books as a play tester, but nothing major.
Right. I've always been interested in it, just never had opportunity, never met anybody that, played seriously or had a group that played. Now my son did, and he really enjoyed it. I'm sure if he enjoyed it, I would, because like I mentioned earlier in the stream, we're like two peas in a pod, he and I.
Well, if you have a local game store, usually they run it on Wednesdays, but they have what's called Adventurers League, which you can go, they'll help you make a character and you can play for like a couple hours every week. And if you miss a week, there's no big deal. And they do that every week. So, you can check that out. I have to agree. AD&D second edition was was best. Atlas. At least they did the roll high on everything.
Now, back in those days, I was more the other type I was a video gamer, still am.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
They'll probably have to pry my controller out of my hand when I die at 80 or 90 or however long I live.
Yeah. My first video game system was the Magnavox Odyssey 2.
Oh, I remember that. I had an Intellivision, and then of course I had the NES and all of those. But back in those days, I was heavily into the Unreal community, the game Unreal, not the engine.
Oh yeah, I remember that one. Yeah.
The original one.
Yeah.
And actually worked for a German website. Why German is because they asked me and wrote reviews on user-created dungeons or user-created maps, rather. So yeah, Now I've gotten older. I've had to give up on my first person shooters because I
Yep.
don't have the reflexes anymore. Those twitchy little kids just run all over me. But
Atlas Side just brought up one of the things that you may have missed was that PETA we're going after Warhammer 40,000, especially
why?
the Space Wolves, because the Space Wolf figures wear fur.
Yeah.
And of course, it's PETA.
Uh,
Well, it's their PETA, people for the ethical treatment of animals, rather than my PETA, which is people for eating tasty animals.
of course.
So they're going off, it's some people have been saying that they were just using that as kind of a joke to segue into the important of animals being slaughtered for their fur.
Right.
But I don't know. I think it was a stupid way to do it if they were doing it.
Yeah,
Because
I just don't get it. I mean, I'm an animal lover.
Mhm.
There's a dog here in the house. She's not my dog. We're just keeping her until my youngest daughter, who just moved back from Hawaii, finds a place where she can have her dog again. So we're keeping her until then. And I love dogs. I love them to death, and they usually become part of my family. Not so much a cat person, but to each his own.
Yeah, cats own you.
But
If they care.
I love animals. I do. I've been on a lot of farms. Being a redneck, I have a lot of relation to have farms, and I love animals. I get it, but come on, I'm not giving up my bacon for nobody. let's be honest about it.
Oh, definitely. I told my daughter who decided to go vegan. I think hopefully more for health than anything else. But I thought about going vegan because for health reasons. But I love meat so much. I thought I'm just gonna cut the difference and eat vegetarians.
I actually got in an argument, sort of, in the comment section of one of Ranting Monkey's videos. Oh, it's been a couple of months back. Didn't mean to start an argument. I just stated basically what I just stated to you, that I'm not giving up my bacon, that it's really not healthy to go completely vegan. You've got to take vitamins and supplements to supplement the things that you're not getting because you're not eating the meat where you'll get them. And oh boy, a couple of vegan people got a hold of that, seen it, and attacked. It went on for like 2 days. I finally just said, I'm done.
Yeah, I don't blame you. But yeah, oh God. Back when I was living in Michigan, I was in a D&D group playing second edition AD&D. And we had a married couple with us who were really big PETA members. The husband was pretty cool about it. It says, this is what I think, but if you want to have a burger, enjoy. The wife, on the other hand, oh my God, what a nutcase. So we're sitting at the table getting ready to start, and one of the other players claps his hand on a gnat. She freaks out. And he go, that was a living thing. It's like, we're just staring at her going, chill out.
No kidding.
There's several trillion more where they came from.
And I agree, Chad. It's an individual life choice. I actually have a cousin who lives as vegan, but she's not one of the cult ones, as Carlos put it. That's over the top. She's not going to beat you over the head because you eat meat. That's just her choice, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But it as somebody mentioned, it's everything in moderation. It's what anything is bad in excess.
Oh, definitely. I mean, that's so okay. I'm this is where I come clean. I'm Mormon. I'm not good Mormon. I'm what they call a Jack Mormon. Mostly Mormon in name only.
Right. Oh, that's fine. It's no secret that I'm a Christian. It just
and it's
that's my personal thing. I keep it off of YouTube. I keep it off of Twitter, and that's just for me and me alone.
Which is fine. But you get people from any I mean, it's like you'll get some rabid anti-Mormons, and
Yeah.
they're like, the extreme right and extreme left. They're trying to get you to convince you to demand that you agree with them, that you join them. And it's like, fine, you have your beliefs. I'm willing to listen to you. I'm willing to, converse with you. But you may not change my mind at all.
Right.
And so it's like, piss off. And
And of course, the chat's going nuts now.
Of course, they're going nuts. And that's one of the things I like about saying, I'm Mormon. And they go, oh my gosh, we're going to burn you at the stake. Why go to the stake? We can just go to the ward house.
Kill the Christians.
Oh, yeah. 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 The last time somebody did a comic or a cartoon of Joseph Smith, a bunch of Mormons went around and say, hey, would you like some potatoes? It's like, here's a book.
Here's my take on the whole religion thing. And I know that this particular end of YouTube kind of sort of started from the atheist community.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's, some sore points there. And some of the rest of us come along and latched on later.
Yeah.
I got no problem with that. I can sit right side by side at a table with an atheist and get along just fine, and
Mm-hmm.
love him as my fellow human being just fine.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to argue with you about my faith, and I don't expect you to argue with me about your lack of it. I just don't think it should be an issue. That's my take.
I agree. I mean, it's a lot of people wonder, it's like, okay, look, you've got the scientist side of you and you've got the faith side of you. Don't you see if there's a conflict? And I go, no, I don't. And yeah, that you may think that there's cognitive dissonance there, but It's like, I understand there's the rational side of things. There's the things that you can prove. And a matter of faith is a matter of faith. You can't prove it. It's what you want to believe. It's what, makes you happy, like ice cream.
Yeah. I mean, I'll be the first to say that I'm not a skeptic. I mean, because there's things that I believe in that, like you say, there's no proof in. There's just belief.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a skeptic. I don't consider myself an anti-SJW. What I do consider myself is anti-stupid. If you're stupid, then yes, that's what I'm against.
Atheists, I believe in nothing. Boom.
Yeah. But I've got no problem with it. It's the ones that, and there are some out there that if they find out that you have a belief, they just won't even deal with you. They won't even talk to you, other than maybe to attack you. And I just don't believe that. It seems to go against what this end of YouTube is supposed to be about. It's supposed to be about freedom of speech and the exchange of ideas and that sort of thing. And just to discount someone because of their faith or lack thereof just seems to fly in the face of that. To me, that's my take on it.
Yeah, I agree. So, and another thing is that I find, actually, I just did a little bit of research on this. I wanted to see what the official LDS stance is on evolution.
Right.
And so, I figure, okay, I go to the Mormon website. I go, okay, what is it? And I say, the church has no stance on that. So, yeah, officially, it's like, you know what? It's like, who are we to say how God does stuff?
Right.
So it's like they're saying, it's like, you know what? We're looking after the spiritual side of things. If you want to figure out, it's like, if you want somebody to comment on science, talk to a scientist.
Exactly. Yeah, I've got no problem with science whatsoever, for sure. Like you said, who's to say, if you believe in God, who's to say how he done it,
Yeah.
But
like, Christ taught about being nice to people. Yeah. Except for, people keep arguing is that, what inflection did he use? It's like, did he stutter? Just be nice. Don't be a dick.
Right. Exactly. So I keep hearing about, not to change the subject, but I keep hearing about this stuff with PewDiePie and Milo. I'm so
Oh
far
god.
behind. Can you catch me up on that?
Okay, so PewDiePie in the past has done a couple segments um, with Nazi imagery. I mean, I think he did one. I don't follow PewDiePie. I don't watch his stuff. I don't
I
care.
don't either.
But
My
he
admission is I'm a Markiplier fan. That's, and I'll admit it. He's my guilty pleasure. But yeah, go ahead.
so so he's doing stuff with a little bit of Nazi imagery in it. It's apparently this guy does stuff for entertainment purposes. He's a bit edgy, so on and so forth.
Right.
While the left picked on that, and especially three guys from the Wall Street Journal basically wrote an article and saying that how he's a Nazi. Then they contacted Disney and somehow got the contract Disney had with PewDiePie canceled. And it's like, everybody's going, oh, PewDiePie is such a Nazi, yada, yada, yada. And it's like everybody else, are going like, no, he's not, you idiots. How the left loves calling everybody a Nazi. You disagree, you're a Nazi. Oh, for crying out loud. Now, Milo was recently on, oh God, what's his name? Bill Maher. Maher, whatever.
Right.
I don't like the guy. His comedy is okay, but overall I don't like him. Anyway, he was on his show, and they seem to kind of get along a little bit. Next day or so, they come out with that Milo supports pedophilia. He says that it's they went off of old YouTube podcasts. One with the Drunken Peasants. Another one with Joe Rogan.
Right.
And some of the stuff that he said. So, he admitted that he was with he had sex with a Catholic priest when he was 13. He had a long time relationship with an older man, and thinks, and then another with, I think it was the one with the Drunken Peasants, says that consent laws are insane.
Right.
So of course everything blows up. Simon & Schuster cancel his book deal. He's disinvited from the CPAC, the Conservative Party, what the fuck ever it was.
Right.
And so he puts out, or he has a press conference where he says, look, I do not condone pedophilia. I was an abuse victim when I was younger. I was not saying that, basically refuting everything that everyone was saying. Is that I was just trying, I said things poorly. I was trying to be funny, and it came out wrong. Right. I don't think that it's the overall the consent laws, for age of consent is what's messed up. So he pretty much says, yeah, I said this stuff. I said it badly. Right. And so some people are saying, is like Space Wizard says, that they basically saw a way to that he pissed them off, and they found a way to try and destroy him.
Well, I'm sure they were just looking for a way to, a chink in the armor, if you will, a way to get at him. I mean, he's He's ruffled a lot of feathers along the way. Milo
Oh,
has.
definitely. And I don't agree with everything he says. He does have a style to him. I like how, oh God, who put it this way? That Milo, he's not a modern day or a current day.
Mm.
God, I can't forget his name. Big time atheist. I just brain farted.
Welcome to my club.
Oh God, and it's like lingering in a green cloud. But yeah, Milo is a performer. He
Right.
says for shock values, right, Carlos? He's not Hitchens. He is now I forgot, drew blank on the writer. Damn it. I need to drink more. I think that's what it is. But he's a provocateur. He says he's a jester, is what he is, and he's not Dawkins, no, not Hitchens. He's a court jester, kind of in the neoclassical sense, where he's being comedic, he's being funny, but he's saying salient points.
Right.
He's it's the iron whoopee cushion in the velvet glove.
Right. Yeah, I get you.
So, but I agree with some people that he's gonna maybe reinvent himself and come back stronger.
Yeah, it could be. And so
Oscar Wilde, that's his name.
Oscar Wilde.
Yeah, Wizard of Oz compared him to Oscar Wilde, and I think that is a very good comparison.
Yeah. So PewDiePie is a Nazi. I don't like PewDiePie. Never have liked PewDiePie, but I don't think he's a Nazi.
No, I don't think it's like I like how another YouTuber said it, is that kind of the Nazis, they've been kind of gone since 1945. Everybody else is like neo-Nazis.
Yeah.
And they're not a problem. They're loudmouths. They're, they have some stupid ideas, which by all means bring them out in the light.
All right. I want to know who they are. Yeah.
It's like, it's actually a Supreme Court justice said that sunlight is the best disinfectant.
Yeah. Well, it's like I've heard people, supporters of Black Lives Matter, come out and, when we call it, and I do, I think it's a terrorist group.
I agree.
It at least become that. And they went, well, white people have the KKK and this. They are the neo-Nazis and the KKK. They're not even an issue. They're too small.
Yeah,
they're far too small. They're not even. They're barely in existence anymore.
Oh yeah, they're like what, 1,000 maybe?
Yeah, and yeah, it's really not a fair comparison. They're just not even an issue. So yeah, they exist. Yeah, they're idiots, but you can usually tell them because they're the guys standing out there, Heil Hitler, on the street corner with their group, and you stand out there and laugh at them and go on.
I think of neo-Nazis like from that scene of from the Blues Brothers.
One of my favorite movies, actually.
Oh, love that movie. Where they drive across a bridge through a gathering of neo-Nazis, and then they're just all start jumping off the bridge into the river.
I hate Illinois Nazis.
So yeah, that's but of course, the left and some of the right are just howling in glee about taking down Milo Yiannopoulos.
Yeah. And that's one of the reasons that I don't identify myself as an extreme one way or the other. I'm definitely to the right of center. There's
Yeah,
no
me too.
question to that. But I'm pretty close to center, but
Mhm.
just a tad to the right of it. I don't want to be on the extreme on either side because I don't want to drink either one of them's Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
Because when you get to the two far ends of the spectrum, either left or right, it's both. It's the horseshoe theory. That they're both listen and believe.
Mhm.
You've got to toe our line, and if you don't toe it completely, then you're not one of us.
Yeah. On the right, you're a libtard. On the left, you're a Nazi.
Right.
It's you can't win for losing.
I'd rather be in the middle and choose for myself.
Mhm.
There's some ideas on the right that I like. There's some ideas on the left that I like, and I like to be able to pick them out, put them together, and hey, that's what I like.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of the problem is that with the whole identity politics is that how do you identify carbon-based life form? You have to identify, are you a conservative, are you a liberal, are you a Democrat, are you a Republican? That's not what defines you. What defines you is far more complicated than simple labels. A label is for if you want peaches instead of pears.
Well, ideas should not identify any of us because ideas change.
Oh yeah.
I can't count how many times I've changed my mind and my belief system
Mm-hmm.
over the last almost 60 years. It's, ideas change, people's minds change, people change. So, yeah, they should not identify us ideas or labels, which come because of those ideas at all.
Davey, I would never listen to Guns N' Roses. Mainly because one, it's not my type of music, and two, I got really sick of them when their album came out in '86, and everybody in the barracks was playing that fucking album.
The only kick I've got against the biggest kick I got against Guns N' Roses is Axl is such a jackass.
Oh yeah,
and he's a fellow Hoosier like me. He comes from Indiana, although he's not welcome back here. The whole reason he even ended up in California to meet the rest of the band is because he fled Indiana because of legal reasons.
Yeah.
But hang down the fort for just a quick second. I'm going to run in the next room and fill up my coffee cup, and I'm going to be right back.
Okay, enjoy. So, well, and now I've taken over Blood Wings chat. Anyway, so I'm working on this for the chat. If you're paying attention to me anymore, what do you guys think? How am I doing? I'd like to get a little bit of feedback from you guys on how I'm doing. Any constructive criticism? Anything at all? Carlos, okay, Mormon boy. What music do I like a lot of different music. I grew up when I was I grew up in the 70s. Did not listen to disco. Better dead than disco.
Yeah.
But when in the 70s, I listened to classical music. In the 80s, I listened to music from the 60s, classic rock. When I got in the 90s, I listened to mostly 80s music. In the 2000s, I listened mostly to jazz. I also listened to new age type music, stuff like Mannheim Steamroller, which I don't know. I like their term. Mannheim Steamroller, if you don't know them, is kind of 18th century classical rock. I term it as classical music for the ADHD.
Yeah. Yeah, I have a pretty wide taste in music. I mean, I grew up. My parents were young. I mean, my mom was 18 when I was born. They come out of the 50s, so it was the 50s music that I was raised on. Was there through the 60s and 70s. I love bluegrass. I love classical music. Have a huge love of 30s and 40s big band music. To this day, can't get enough of it. But yeah, I'm all over the place.
Yeah, I have eclectic tastes. Yes, that's the term, Carlos. And no, you didn't make it up. Oh yeah. You know, I've pick up a little bit. I like a little bit of, somebody mentioned 90s country music, especially if they're female.
See Atlas.
See Atlas. But so I like a lot of different music. There's some music that I might like one song from. Here you go. Here's another type of music I like: progressive rock. Jethro Tull, King Crimson.
Yep.
Actually saw Jethro Tull in Germany for their Rock Island tour.
Yep.
So yeah.
Yeah, I went through my phase of prog rock for quite a. I'm a huge Rush fan. Kansas would be considered prog. Early Kansas.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I've been going through a phase the last few days. There's a particular Rush song, Cygnus X one, off of their Farewell to Kings album. I've listened to every day because I just can't get it out of my head. But yeah, I certainly went through a prog rock phase.
Yeah. Primus is more punk, isn't it? Pork Soda. One band that I like that probably a lot of you guys haven't heard is The Darkest of the Hillside Thickets.
Believe it or not, I've heard the name. I couldn't tell you anything about them, but I have heard the name.
So, they're Cthulhu punk. So a lot of their works are based off of works by H.P. Lovecraft.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them are a hoot. Songs like The Innsmouth Look, Burrow Your Way to My Heart. So they're a bit punkish, but they're fun.
I like all kinds of rock, and I still try to stay fairly current on what's going on, even as my kids were growing up. I can remember one time when my daughter was in junior high, and it was when Disturbed was just really hitting the scene. The band Disturbed.
Mm-hmm.
And her friends were over at the house, and she says, "Dad, can I borrow your Disturbed CD?" Like their mouths fall. Say, "Your dad listens to Disturbed?" Well, yeah, doesn't everybody's? Because that's what she was used to. But I do try to stay current. I like about all, if it's rock and roll, I like it, except for the really extreme death metal where they just garble or yeah, don't do that. I can't get down with that. But anything else, just about I'm at least down with some of it.
A friend of mine turned me on to eclectic or electric swing,
mm-hmm.
which is kind of like swing music with a bit of a I guess a dance club vibe to it. One of them is Caravan Palace.
Right.
They're a French group, and they're pretty good. They're fun. So it's like, especially when I'm in a jazz mood, I'll listen to them.
Right. I love Aerosmith too, Ace, but they're more a blues rock at their
Arrow
core.
Smooch.
Yeah, Aerosmith is more a blues rock at their core than
Yeah.
anything else, or it used to be. I'm not sure what they are anymore. But yeah, I have pretty wide taste. There was times that you might just as likely hear me listen to Benny Goodman as to listen to Black Sabbath.
Oh, I love Benny Goodman. But yeah,
And
it's like there's times it's like my favorites list will go from like, excuse me, um, maybe a little bit of Beethoven to some Jethro Tull to some Benny Goodman, and then some of this, some of that, some of this, and it's like cool.
now I like Beethoven. My favorite classical would probably be Tchaikovsky.
Oh yeah, I can understand that.
I do like Tchaikovsky, and not just because of the Nutcracker Suite, but that's probably the one classical tune that almost
Mhm.
everyone knows or
Oh
have
yeah,
heard it. They may not know who done it or what it is, but uh, Pink Floyd,
oh yeah,
yeah. So, oh, it's Ace that mentioned Pink Floyd. Um, like I said, I've got a really wide. I even went through my country phase for a little while in the '90s. Now what they call country sounds almost identical to what we used to call country rock
mm-hmm.
back in the day. With
Yeah,
Charlie Daniels and Marshall Tucker and all of those guys, which I was heavily into Southern rock at the time. But nowadays it all sounds like that to me. But I went through my little country phase for a while until it just all started sounding the same.
oh ELO, fantastic group.
Oh, now the old country, talking like George Jones,
Oh
that's a
my
whole
god.
different
Oh,
story.
no.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
country of today doesn't even have a connection hardly anymore to people like George Jones and Tammy Wynette and all of those people.
Yeah. Where I'm at, not liking country is almost a sin.
Well, I like some of the old. I was raised on. Oh boy, there goes that brain fart again. My dad's favorite artist was. Oh, what is his name? His son was an artist too. Called himself Bocephus. Uh,
I have no idea.
uh, oh my goodness, my brain! I cannot believe my brain
Yeah.
sometimes. It sucks getting old.
Yeah.
Uh, but saying, "Hey, good looking. What you got cooking?" That
Oh.
I could
Yeah.
see him right in front of me.
Yeah, so can I.
Always wore the big white hat. Somebody in chat, tell me. And then I'm
Well,
going to
make
hate
yourself
myself.
useful.
Yeah. Then I'm going to hate myself when I couldn't remember. Hank Williams. Doggone it. I knew it'd come to me.
Yeah.
I was raised on Hank Williams. That was my dad's favorite artist getting older. See a Wizard. Uh, Johnny, no, not Johnny Winter. We're not talking Frankenstein.
That's Edgar Winter.
Yeah, that's Edgar. That's right. Johnny was the brother. Uh, but that was the kind of stuff I was raised on. Dad loved his uh, Hank Williams. Mom loved her 50s, like Buddy Holly and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
And
Oh, my mom loved Tom Jones.
oh my goodness.
Oh yeah. What's new, pussycat?
Whoa. Loves him some Willie Nelson. Well, I know this. I'll never party with Willie Nelson, as the song goes. Never party with Willie Nelson again. Is he? Tom Jones is still
Yeah,
alive?
I think he just retired from singing.
Oh my goodness. Now Johnny Cash, see, Johnny Cash in my mind was not country. He straddled the fence. He actually started as a rock and roller.
Yeah, I agree with you there.
Kind of drifted over and he kind of straddled the fence between the two. Uh, I actually heard a very good rendition of his song "Man in Black" that he done with believe it or not, a Christian punk band called One Bad Pig. If you've never heard it, look it up. It's actually a very good rendition of his song, and he sang with them. This was well up
Oh,
into his age.
yeah, I really like the version of Kiss that he did with Art of Noise.
Hmm. Yeah, Johnny was something else.
Yep.
I just have never been able to consider him country. Did he do some songs that were on the country charts?
I think
Yes.
so, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely he did. But I don't look at Johnny as country. I just look at him as an in between, a crossover. Roy Orbison, same thing. Yeah, Roy. He done a
Pretty
couple of country
Woman.
songs, but oh my gosh, Pretty Woman is timeless.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a shame he died when he did because the Traveling Wilburys were really
Oh,
really
yeah.
getting up and going.
But for the most part, I think I'm kind of a 80s, early 90s new wave, modern, REM, Depressed Mood.
Yeah.
I mean, Depeche Mode, Fine Young Cannibals. What else?
Yeah, Roy would remind you of Tom Petty because they sang in the Wilburys together.
Yep.
But I get my moods. Like I said, today I was listening to Rush. Tomorrow I might be listening to old school Ozzy-led Black Sabbath,
Mm-hmm.
and the day after that I might be listening to Devo. You know,
Oh, yeah.
or it depends on what mood I'm in. But I've always basically been, I think, a headbanger. I was a headbanger even before the term was there was no term headbanger.
Yeah, I've always been out of the current decade. I mean, like I said, in the 80s, I'm listening to the Beatles and the Monkees. I love the Monkees.
I was just talking about them. Was it yesterday or the day before, actually, with my oldest daughter about the Monkees?
Mm-hmm.
Because we were talking about different artists that were actually creations of their record companies more than of themselves.
Yeah, they're prefab 4.
And they were created to jump on the Beatles wagon. Mm-hmm. And in fact, some of them, I think the only one that might have even really played an instrument was Nesmith when they started.
Well, actually, both Nesmith and Torque were musicians.
Mm.
Nesmith was fairly accomplished songwriter, I think, by that time. Torque played a lot of the hippy dippy bands.
I know Dolan didn't play a lick of drums until after he learned.
He had to learn that. Davy Jones, both those two were almost purely actors.
Yeah.
But they came together really well.
Oh, it worked awesomely. I still from time to time will try to catch on YouTube an old Monkees episode or something. It still makes me laugh.
They just put out an album last year.
Oh yeah?
It's a brand new original album. And it's fantastic.
And those guys are older than I am.
and Davy Jones passed away a couple years ago.
Yeah, you're all right. You're all right. I remember that now. But I knew Nesmith was a musician. Of course, his claim to fame was his mother invented whiteout.
Yeah.
So he didn't need the money, but I wasn't sure about Peter. But there were other bands along the way, just not as obvious as that were more creations
The
of the
Archies.
record company. Yeah, the Archies. Boy, that
Yeah.
was a big hit. Sugar Sugar.
Yep.
Actually had that on a cardboard record.
I remember those that you get
You
like
cut
on a
off the
cereal
back.
box.
Yep, off the back of the cereal box, and you taped a penny on it to weigh it down.
Mm-hmm.
You even had a little circle to show you where to put the penny, and it played well.
Oh gosh, I remember the flimsy records we would sometimes get with like National Geographic.
Oh, the really, really thin. Sometimes they were square.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh god, we got one that was Whale Song, and so I'm listening to that in my room, and I look up in the corner, and then I realize one day I'm going to die. And yeah, that was the moment I realized my own mortality.
Yeah.
And I was 8 years old at the time.
Wow.
Oh well.
Fallout kept the ink spots alive. Good song, actually.
Is it from Fallout? They did like old style versions of a lot of classic hits. Was it the Fallout series?
Yeah, on Fallout 3 in particular, there was a lot of music from the 50s, not necessarily 50s rock and roll, but from bebop and
Yeah.
and like the ink spots, that kind of thing. I had sometimes will play a game and turn the sound off, but that one I had to keep on and keep the radio on my character because you could turn it on or off because I loved the music. Had like there was a Danny Kaye song and stuff like that. Yeah, and did some old country in New Vegas. You're right, Davey. You are right. But it surprised me that you mentioned the Monkees because I really was. I was just talking to my daughter just a couple days ago, I think it was, and we got into that conversation about the Monkees. Of course, my kids' taste in music is based a lot on what they grew up with, and they grew up on me playing, Aerosmith and Rush and Led Zeppelin and Black Sabbath and unfortunately, most of which I no longer have.
Yeah. And I lost a lot of.
I had a huge collection of vinyl, huge, and had it in a storage unit that got broke into, and that along with about 3,000 comics.
Ouch. Yeah, my mom had a lot of vinyl. She had the original copy of Morrison Hotel by the Doors.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of different music, Earth, Wind and Fire, Fifth Dimension, a lot of stuff. But when she died, my cousins cleared out her house and they disappeared.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, I can understand about the majority of her music collection were 8 tracks.
Well, Ace, it's not so much the music. You could still get the tunes. It's just the fact that you had it on vinyl. It's like part of what disappeared on mine. I mentioned that cardboard record earlier. That was in that collection. You can't get that anymore. Had a lot of 45s. Had a 45 of the Beatles doing "We Can Work It Out." A lot of old early 60s and 50s 45s that I'd got from my mother.
And then there's the memories.
Yeah.
Memories of pulling out that vinyl record, putting it on the spindle carefully, and then just trying to ever so carefully lower the needle onto it.
Yeah.
And then listening to it along with, if it's one that's been played a lot, you get the little pops and cracks with it. It's like, oh,
And some of it you just can't really hardly find anymore, that are harder to find. They're out there, but like I had a vinyl copy of Klaatu, the first Klaatu album, which is another blast from the past. That's a band nobody talks about anymore. Hey, Shaggy.
zoinks.
No, he doesn't talk like that. he 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 likes to troll me. He likes to troll everybody.
Oh,
That's part of his charm.
oh, that reminds me. Okay, so as a comic book collector, you understand. I still collect some comic books, but
Mhm.
mostly I've gone digital.
Mhm.
But they kind of rebooted the Scooby Gang. It's a
Really?
it's a series called Scooby Apocalypse, and it's kind of funny. Fred and Daphne are paranormal investigative reporters. Um, Velma is a scientist who's in part responsible for a monster apocalypse. Shaggy is kind of a hipster dog trainer working for the company Velma works for, and Scooby is a genetic experiment. And it's kind of funny.
One of my, I'm a gamer, as we've been talking about.
Yeah.
One of my favorite series is the Borderlands series, and no, that's not where I got my name. I had this name online long before that game came out. I always say they copied from me, but
Sue them.
if you had the first one, Borderlands, there was an expansion called Dr. Zed's Zombie Island, and there was a little side kind of quest thing where you pick up these recordings, and it was a guy doing a Shaggy impression, but he was called something else. Harry, I think his name was, instead of Shaggy. And I got the biggest kick out of that. I was just laughing all along the way. Of course, guy ended up dying terribly because I think the line was, "This is I hide in a barrel, Scoob, because no one ever looks in a barrel, right?"
Reggie.
But yeah, I haven't collected comics in a while. After all those got stolen, it just kind of took the heart out of me.
Yeah, I understand.
A lot of what was taken just as irreplaceable for a lot of reasons. Some the companies no longer exist.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you're a collector, you know that comic companies come and go.
Especially during the 80s.
If you're not a collector, people think of comics, they just think of DC, Marvel, maybe Dark Horse. Yeah. And that's about it. But there's a lot more companies out there than that. Oh. And I tended to specialize, even though I did collect my share of DC and Marvel, I specialized in lesser known, more independent, even some underground comics.
Mm-hmm.
Companies like Malibu, which no longer exists.
Yeah.
And there was a series I collected that I don't even know if can be had for love or money, called Dead World.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
I had the first run of that. I had the first run V for Vendetta series.
Mm-hmm.
And it just took the heart out of me when they took all that, because it's just can't replace that stuff.
Yeah. It's like when I was married, I sold my comic collection of like about 3,000 comics to help make rent when things got tough. Yeah. And, didn't get anywhere near the worth of it. And I'm a big DC fan, although I also collected especially some really weird independent titles.
Right.
But I had really poor copies of Showcase 22 and 23, which is the first and second appearance of the Silver Age Green Lantern.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it was great just to have them. I mean, I bought them both for like $100 because it's like the bottoms were like chewed up by mice. But I had them there in my hands, but I had to sell the whole mess.
I've told this story before, and so some here may have heard it, but in '79, I got a wild hair up my butt. I was 19 years old and drove to California, lived there for 6 months. I had a friend that went out there, so I wasn't going out cold. And when I got back, I'm looking for one of my comics. And I'm like, "Where's my comics, Mom? Do you know where they're at?" She goes, "Well, I had a yard sale and I sold them."
Ooh.
I sold them. And I said, "You sold them? What'd you get out of them?" She goes, "Well, it said 10 cents on there, so I sold them for a dime a piece."
Oh.
I said, "Mom,
Oh.
I know you won't get this, but one of those was Spider-Man #1. That was my college, Mom."
Oh.
Now, the last time I
Oh.
look in it back, it was $30,000. That was in the late '80s, early '90s. I
Mhm.
have no clue what it would be worth
Oh
today.
my gosh.
And it was in primo condition.
Yeah, I didn't have anything, that fantastic. I mean, some of the stuff I collected was like the Secret Society of Super Villains.
Yeah.
But
Well, I
the
only
local,
paid a dime for it. I bought it
yeah.
when it came
Oh yeah.
out off the newsstands, but
So
oh,
it's funny. I got the first comic that I ever got was Green Lantern, Green Arrow, I think 107, and I think that was 15 cents at the time. Lost it a long time ago, but I recently bought it from a online vendor for $1. So yeah, comic prices aren't as great as they once could have been.
well, they were getting up to, when I quit collecting in the '80s.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the independents, like the Dead World series, was about $3.50 a copy.
Yeah, because they're on
You
the.
could still get the Marvel and the DCs for about $1.50,
Mm-hmm.
I think it
Yeah,
was, or $1.75. But yeah, they were starting. I don't know what they are now, but they were starting to get up there even
$3.
then. Wow,
Yeah.
it's amazing. And I used to go down to the drugstore and pick through them for a dime, unless it was the one of the giant issues. You know how it was
Oh
a
yeah.
giant issue, and that would be 25 cents.
Yep.
But yeah, I was into some pretty weird. There was a series I collected called Rust.
Mm-hmm.
Really interesting series. Black Horse had a series called Concrete that I was really into. Don't know if you remember that one,
Yep.
but a lot of there was one called Grindel by an independent company. I was just into a lot of. I had a lot of the mainstream stuff too. I think at the time, Marvel was going through that storyline. And daggone if I can remember the name of the storyline, but it was when demons were trying to take over New York City, which was a really popular storyline at the time.
Yeah, I don't
So I had
remember.
a lot of Marvel.
Yeah.
Um,
Some of the series that I collected back then, there was a series. This is back when Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles were going popular.
I'm actually
And
wearing a Turtles T-shirt at the moment.
nice. It's funny. So a friend of mine had the chance to buy. I mean, this is back when it first came out. To buy first printing, first issue of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but then I thought, nah, this nothing will come of this. And then it's like 6 months later, he's like kicking himself. But I collected a series called Geriatric Gangrene Jiu-Jitsu Gerbils.
I remember that.
So
I absolutely remember that.
I recently found issues of it and I bought them.
I think I read an issue or two of that. It was right about the time I was collecting a comic. I think it was Dark Horse that done it, but I could be wrong. It might have been Malibu. Dinosaurs for Hire.
Mm-hmm.
And it was right about that time I ran across it. Yeah.
Oh my God. Preteen Dirty Jean Kung Fu Kangaroos. Oh my gosh. that's one pulled out of the gene pool.
And then the reason I ended up with so many comics is I had a deal with my local comic shop.
Mm-hmm.
I used to be able to draw very well until my hands started shaking as I got older. But I made a deal with the local shop. I'd give them my art. They'd hang up my art, and they'd let me pick and choose and buy on installments.
Oh,
I
nice.
didn't necessarily have to pay for anything right then. I had to pay for it eventually,
Mhm.
but they'd let me walk out of the store without paying for it because they knew I'd be back and pay for it then.
Yeah, I got a bunch of them when at the time the local comic book store, they had two locations open, and bite your tongue, Carlos. They closed one of their locations and so transferred their stock to their now only store. And they had a sale. It's like you can go through, if you like, it's practically by the pound, $1 a pound of comics or whatever it was. And so I was able to get a lot of comics, especially really weird stuff, off the wall DC stuff, mostly for like dirt cheap.
Huh. My favorite superhero actually is DC. Most people go Marvel, and I like Marvel. I've got nothing against Marvel. I mean, I really loved Wolverine before it was cool to love Wolverine.
Yeah, Nightcrawler is my favorite Marvel character, but I got really sick of Marvel because all my friends were huge Marvel fans, and so I just got sick of it.
But my favorite superhero is actually DC. And he's not one people usually think of, and it's Spectre. He has been, always will be my favorite.
Did you read the Hal Jordan Spectre series?
Yeah, he got a little too OP in that one. That's the reason I think they eventually killed him off. They may have brought him back since then. I'm way out of touch with the.
Yeah. Oh my God. Oh. So okay. Since you're a bit out of touch, so we remember the old DC stuff.
Yeah.
Crisis on Infinite Earths, Infinite Crisis, so on and so forth. Well, back in what I think it was like 2003, they kind of rebooted everything, kind of, calling the New 52.
Right, I heard that.
Which it's like everything else rebooted except for like the Green Lantern stories. And Green Lantern, who's my favorite DC hero.
Right.
Another is Ambush Bug, which a lot of people don't know of.
Oh, I know Ambush Bug, sure.
Yeah, who's better than Deadpool or Deadpool, you bastards. No one breaks the fourth wall like Ambush Bug. Anyway, so the New 52 came out, and following what's called the Flashpoint. So the Flash goes back into time, saves his mom from being killed by the Reverse Flash, goes back and everything's different. Stuff like Bruce Wayne was shot in that alley. And so his dad becomes Batman, and his mom, who went off the deep end, becomes the Joker.
Oh, no.
It's kind of an interesting storyline. DC Animation did a movie on it, Flashpoint Paradox, that I think is really good. So
I've
anyway,
seen it on Netflix, and I just have not watched it yet.
Give it a watch. It's good. DC Animation, I think, is fantastic.
Yeah, it's. I have seen it on there. I just haven't. I haven't watched any TV for so long.
Yeah, I don't blame you. TV is shit. But so he goes back into time and fixes it. Then when he returns, everything's almost back to normal. They're kind of covering this in the Flash TV series,
right? So
that there's some differences in that. Some things they did fairly well. Ruman suggests Demon Knights was really good. I didn't read that one. Some people say
I knew there was a Batman movie. I knew there was a Batman movie in the 40s. Actually, it was a serial they played at the movies back in the 40s. And if you've ever seen, he looks pretty strange compared to what we're used to.
Oh yeah, it's like, that's the one where he's like when they're announcing it, he's sitting at a desk. In a cave. Yeah, you can find some of them on YouTube. So Anyway, so that went on for a couple years, and that was hit or miss, mostly miss, and just it just got kind of stupid. Well, now that they're kind of rebooting it again with Rebirth. So what has happened is that the original Kid Flash has been stuck in the Speed Force, and he comes out and he's like telling everybody that somebody has stolen the last 10 years. And at one point, he visits Batman and try to get his help, but Batman doesn't recognize him. And Batman finds embedded in the wall of the Batcave a smiley face button with a bit of blood on it. So if you're familiar with the Watchmen series,
right, that was the comedian.
Yep. And then I just got the trade paperback for Rebirth, and they include some of the dialogue from the last issue of the Watchmen series. So, there's some conjecture on whether they're folding it all together or what. I don't know if Psycho Pirate still knows what's going on. I haven't seen him yet, or if at all. So if we remember Psycho Pirate, especially from Crisis on Infinite Earths,
right?
I think that Marvel's Secret Wars was really good, the original Secret War,
right?
But Crisis on Infinite Earths was fantastic. I don't think anything's ever topped that. In the summer blockbuster comic series.
Right. DC has done some good stuff. Marvel gets all the hype. Marvel gets all the kudos. And rightly so. They've done some good stuff. But sometimes what gets lost in the shuffle is DC's done a heck of a lot of stuff. I remember back, there was a series that, since you're a Green Lantern fan, Green Lantern and Green Arrow done when they were traveling together.
Hard Traveling Heroes.
Right. And Speedy was a heroin addict.
Yeah.
And and that was some cutting edge stuff at the time. It got a lot of critical praise.
Yeah, there's one issue when John Stewart first comes on the scene. Hal Jordan is trying to train John Stewart, and John Stewart messes up in Hal Jordan's opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And he's berating John Stewart, and this old man, this old black guy comes up and says, Mr. Lantern, I understand that you work for the blue people, and then you did this great thing for the orange people, and then you did this wonderful thing for the green people, but what have you done with the black people here?
Right.
And that's some solid storytelling.
Yeah.
That's weaving in things that are going on in the real world into the comics to explore it. And I think that did it extremely well.
Yeah.
But where Marvel has been ramrodding SJW stuff down the throats of people instead of leaving it in, bringing it in, I think that's the problem.
Yeah. Yeah, and I've been getting that. Like I said, I'm out of touch with it, but I've been getting that since lately. That they're really going really hard SJW lately.
Yeah.
And they've went through their periods. I don't know if you remember Hawk and Dove.
Yep.
They done a reboot of that where the original Dove was dead, and then it was a female.
Yep.
And it got really
preachy,
SJW-ish for a while.
Yeah.
What what was the name of that? What the Dagger and
Oh, Cloak and Dagger.
Cloak and Dagger got
Yeah.
that way a little bit. Um, yeah, they've kind of tended to be that way over the years, but I guess now they've really hardcore with a female Thor and a female Iron
Yeah.
Man, and I got no problem with female superheroes whatsoever. That's not the issue. Is why?
Yeah. It's like,
It's got to make sense.
Like somebody once says that recently that Wonder Woman is proving to be bisexual. And it's like, and the way that it was explained to me is that, okay, she's born and raised on Paradise Island.
Right. When I'm the women.
With all the women. So, and, considering it's mostly based on classical Greek mythology,
Amazons,
lesbianism wasn't that, that big of a deal. And then she gets to the man's world and then, hooks up with Steve Trevor. So yeah, it fits. It makes sense in the storytelling. But
right.
If they just threw, okay, this character is now this, especially if it's an long established character, and it says, what are you doing? So yeah. If somebody's gay or whatever, it's like, as long as it makes sense with the storytelling.
Well, it wouldn't have surprised me on Wonder Woman anyway.
Yeah.
Because if you're into comics at all, you know that the original Wonder Woman, the guy that invented her, was a pretty kinky dude.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, Roman, cool anymore? Dude, I've been reading comics and playing role-playing games since the 80s. Since when have I been caring about cool? I had a members-only jacket. That's how cool I was.
Yeah.
To quote Devo, I'm through with being cool.
Speaking of Devo, yeah. but
yeah, I think Marvel's getting a lot of it because of all their films that they're putting out.
Well, yeah, their marketing's their marketing's been better, and the movies have just been better. I mean,
absolutely.
The Green Lantern was such a disappointment. He's not my favorite character, but he's one of my favorites.
Yeah, I enjoyed the Green Lantern movie, but it was not my Green Lantern movie.
Right.
It's okay as a Green Lantern movie, but it's not, DC Comics movies aren't all that great. They're fun, they're good.
Yeah.
But they're not as fantastic.
Yeah, but the only exceptions to that were the Batman movies.
Mm-hmm.
For the most part, we're discounting when George Clooney and all that.
Yeah, no nipples. yeah. Just say no to nipples.
Yeah, but that was really the only exception to it. I haven't seen a good Superman movie that I enjoyed since Christopher Reeves played him.
Yeah, but I think if you go to the DC animated movies, I think they're excelling there.
Yeah.
The DC live action TV shows, I think, are doing pretty good. They're not, even though a lot of people are claiming that Supergirl is ultra feminist, I don't think so.
I haven't watched Supergirl. Now, I have watched Arrow. I haven't watched it in a while, but I watched, I don't know, 3 seasons. Or the last I've seen, he was just supposedly killed and fell off the cliff and but survived it, kind of thing. I just haven't caught it. It's on Netflix. I just haven't caught up with it. And I've watched some Flash, which I've enjoyed, not as much as I enjoyed Arrow, but I've enjoyed it. I'm surprised Marvel really hasn't tapped the TV market any more than they have. Now, having said that, talking about Netflix, the Daredevil is just excellent.
I agree.
The Daredevil, the whole They're putting together the Defenders is what they're doing,
Mhm.
and that whole mass of heroes right there that they're been showcasing on Netflix has just been very well done.
Yes. I haven't seen any other. I've seen a little bit of Jessica Jones. I haven't seen our Power Man or what's his name? Luke Cage. I
Yeah.
haven't,
Oh,
I,
Luke Cage is awesome. Got to
I haven't
watch it,
seen
dude.
those. But I wonder if it has to do with the format, because Netflix doesn't have to worry about advertisers.
Yeah, they don't have to worry about commercial success. It's either watched or it isn't.
Mm-hmm.
And now Jessica Jones is a little bit of a hard watch compared to the rest of them because she's
That's what I've heard.
so gritty, and
Yeah.
so dark. But once you get into it, and the actor they chose to play the Purple
Oh
Man,
yeah, David Tennant.
yeah, played Doctor Who was a good choice.
Yeah.
But and they're getting ready to release Power Fist here very soon.
Mm-hmm. Or Iron
Um,
Fist.
Iron Fist, yeah, I said Power because he was partners with Power Man for so long. I got the two
Yeah.
intermingled there.
At
But
least they didn't bring back the Power Man costume. That was ugly.
well, you haven't watched it, but there is a scene where it's showing his escape from prison, where he gets turned into what he becomes, where he has this torque around his neck, and he's naked, so he's had to find clothes, and the clothes he finds to put on are his old Power Man outfit, the open gold shirt and the pants and the tight pants, and the thing around his head is on there. He hadn't taken it off because it's part of a machine he was hooked into. And he looks into a mirror, a car side view mirror, as he's looking at it. He's like, no. I'm like, well, that's a scene nobody that knows about it will get, but that was pretty good.
Oh, I like it when they do little stuff like that, little nods.
Yeah. But the scene from Iron Fist, the scenes that I've seen, the previews, look really good. So I hope it turns out as well.
It does look good.
Yeah. I thought Daredevil was just excellent. Luke Cage was really good. Jessica Jones was not as good as the others. It was harder to get into, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I got into 3 episodes of it, and then I got distracted by something else, and then hadn't picked it up, and then I deleted I canceled my Netflix.
I will admit it's a hard watch. It doesn't grab you right from the beginning like Luke Cage or Daredevil does. But that's, having said that, I'm just surprised that Marvel hasn't tapped into the normal TV market like DC has.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure people would watch it.
I think the only thing that they have is Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
I'd forgot about that.
And I think that's the only one.
And it is fairly good. I do like it.
So I really like the Ghost Rider arc that they had on it.
I haven't watched the last season of it. The last I watched is where they just defended the what was left of S.H.I.E.L.D. from the Inhumans. But I haven't really. I knew they were coming out with Ghost Rider, but I haven't seen any of those episodes yet.
So I thought they did a really good job in that.
Yeah, but I'd forgot all about that. They do have that one, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I'd forgot all about that. And there's all kinds of tip of the hat during that to their main properties like Hulk and Thor and Iron Man and all that. But well, man, I think, I'm surprised we've kept any viewers at all. We've just went on about the geekiest stuff, computers and, and board games and comic books, and I must have a bunch of geek fans. But And that's cool because I am a nerd at heart.
Yeah.
An
And
old nerd, but I'm a nerd.
it is written within the scriptures that the geek shall inherit the earth.
Pretty
Amen.
much. Yeah. Just look at Microsoft.
Yeah.
But I think I'm going to get off here for a while. I'm going to take a little rest, and then there's another live stream I'm going to check out. But thanks for coming on, man. I'm glad you come on. It was interesting talking to you. You'll have to come on
I
again.
appreciate it. Anytime.
All right. And thanks for everybody that showed up for coming out. I promise here within a couple of weeks, we'll get things more back to normal on my end. But I thought I better get something out there, and this was the best way I knew how. So bye to the chat, and
get
we'll
off
see
his
y'all
lawn.
later. Get off my lawn.